Next question comes from Dennis in Sweden.
Dennis? That's not a Swedish name, is it?
He's trapped there.
Oh.
I've been playing some NES Remix, and I'm excited for NES Remix too. But what excites me even more is the future potential for this franchise. You'd imagine next up is NES Remix 3 or SNES Remix. But what would be even more awesome? N64 Remix or GameCube Remix, maybe Game Boy Remix for 3DS. Just imagine N64 Remix, for example. Finish the first level of Super Mario 64. Play as Link in Ocarina of Time, but as Link from Ocarina of Time. Use the sword instead of jumping on enemies. That kind of stuff. That would blow your mind. I don't know if it would actually work, but we can always dream. What are your thoughts on this?
We just talked about this a little bit already, but I would love the N64 version of that, right? Like, I think the reason why Nintendo is doing NES Remix and is able to do 2 games so quickly is because it's fairly easy to manipulate this small code, right? They're really familiar with. And so now when you're taking pieces out of a game like Super Mario 64 and putting Link in it, it's going to get a lot more complicated. But, man, that sounds so awesome.
It is, and that sounds wonderful on paper, but I think that the reason NES Remix works is because it's hinging off of these games that were so quick and Twitch-based. Like, something like Super Mario 64, I don't identify that game with speedrunning, me personally, because I'm not that, what's his name?
Siglemic,
who's crazy when it comes to that.
He's really good.
That guy is amazing. Same with Ocarina of Time. You know, I don't really look at that as a game where it's just like, kill 5 Stalfos in 4 seconds, you know, where it's just boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I want to take my time slowly through this temple and kind of analyze everything and look at everything. So it's kind of oil and water with the way those games were played, which could lead to some really awesome scenarios just because we've never played them like that before. I don't know if it would make people want to go buy the originals, whereas I play NES Remix and it makes me go, man, now I want to play Mario Brothers because I got a very tiny vertical slice of that. It's not really the same with the N64 and the GameCube and so forth, because these are 3D giant massive games.
But if they go there, it also forces them to like quickly update the store.
Sure.
Like, why do you think we got Super Mario Brothers 3? I think last week or this week or really soon, because it's going to be an NES Remix at the end of the month.
Yeah, and that was great to see in the eShop. They're like, hey, if you loved an NES Remix, get it right here.
Yeah,
you know?
and they're sort of they're leveraging NES Remix as a way to sort of interest people in vintage or classic gaming, and that's really smart. But the newer the platform, the harder it is, right? You try to do one based off Wii or you try to do one off of GameCube. Sure. That takes a lot more work, and I totally agree with Pear that these are getting turned around quickly because they are using much more primitive assets. Yeah, and that's not in a negative connotation. It's just that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's tiny coded. You don't have to load it, right? It's just like a couple of K, boom, the challenge is there. You could imagine that it'll take a little bit more to load, a stage from a GameCube game from this. That said, though, there are elements in all those games you could do. Like, just imagine Ocarina of Time at the exit of Hyrule Castle. There's a room with all these pots and the one-eyed dude hanging out, right? You could just do a quick challenge, like break all the pots, and you're friggin' Captain Falcon. You gotta go Falcon Punch all those pots, right? Like, that'd be amazing.
Well, and they're taking it a step further too, right? Because with remix challenges, they're really flipping the script. They're putting characters in other games.
That would be cool.
They're creating like really cool effects that the original NES would have never done.
Yeah.
But I also think that Super Nintendo Remix would be received really well because sort of 16-bit nostalgia is, if anything, at its peak right now, where people are like, hey, these games look really amazing, they age really well, and that's something that I can play on my television and not feel weird about.
Yeah, I think that's a must. It's going to happen for sure. Like, N64 GameCube, that's when it's going to get complicated, but I would love that, man. Just like a quick level of, like, even like Pokemon Puzzle League or something, but the characters are different now, or
that would be awesome. And I really like, now that I'm thinking about it, I really like his idea, because the closer we can bring the worlds of NES Remix and Super Smash Brothers together, the better. Because I think that those two things, that works perfectly. Smash Brothers is quick, it's 3D, it's Twitch-based, it's insane. There's a plethora of little challenges you could throw in there with like 5-second timing type of thing. So I'd love to see that happen.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we finished that one early.
Give me a
second. Well, you wouldn't even have to reskin Smash Brothers, actually, because all the characters are already there.
All right.
So
I stopped the timer.
Cool.
Okay.